Hello, everyone. We want to take this opportunity to say thank you. As you grow at the Golden Boot, so do our needs, but we cannot do it without you. We ask that you continue to like our posts, share our content, and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, and other social media platforms. You may also visit thegoldenboot.com for the latest merch. If you would like to make a financial donation, you can do so through Cash App at @Golden Boot or through PayPal at paypal.me/Golden Boot. We look forward to bringing you more laughs, knowledge, and entertainment. And again, thank you for your endless support. Sincerely and respectfully, the Golden Boot team.
The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back to another episode of HBCU Hour. It's your boy Pooh Bell. I got my man Aunt Petty Murphy in the building. What's good, my boy? How you doing on this wonderful Monday?
What's happening, bro? I'm doing all right. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. I'm trying to keep an eye on these scores, man, because I know it's getting wild in HBCU basketball.
Yes, sir.
What a weekend, man. What a weekend. We saw North Carolina Central, as predicted by Josh.
Yeah, he did
from
say
HBCU Nightly on our show, said that North Carolina Central a little behind right now, but everybody got to come to the Eagles' nest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Howard was the first victim.
Yeah, and right now, is it right now? Are they playing right now? I'm trying to pull it up. Yeah, Howard taking on. I mean, not Howard. Excuse me. North Carolina Central is taking on Norfolk State, which looks like it could end up being the it could end up being the
it's a blowout.
It's a blowout.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Hold up.
They doubled them boys up 52-26.
Man, I can't even put. Man, I'm in this hotel. They got a VPN on. I ain't getting them, but Brazil soccer. I don't care about Messi right now. I don't.
Right now, Howard is up on South Carolina State 48-44. Oregon State and Eastern Shore close one 36-33, almost on that one, and then they up 56-40 on Delaware State, and then Central 55-26 over Norfolk State right now.
Whew.
Yeah, and on that one, it looked like
I don't even know what to say at this point, guy.
I mean, honestly, it looked like the production came off the bench. That leading scorer got 16 off the bench for Central. I mean, that's Fred Cleveland Jr. 16 off the bench, 5 of 8 from the field. So it looked like they getting everybody to chip in tonight, man. But yeah, they working over for Norfolk right now. And then on the SWAC side right now, you got Southern up 2 on FAMU and Grambling up 4 on Bethune. And then you got Jackson State, Prairie View, and Alcorn, Texas Southern later on. They haven't started yet.
It's wild. That's all I can say. It is wild. Okay. All right. My computer, I'm able. I had to maneuver around and backdoor my way into looking at some of these scores. God dang. Ooh, and the second half. Ooh. Ooh. Well, Yeah, it's gonna be real crowded at the top.
Yeah.
Actually, no, if this ends out, Howard back in the lead. Howard will be 10-4 if the score stayed the same right now. Howard be 10-3. I'm sorry, 10-3, and Central will be 9-4. Norfolk State will be 9-4. So
yeah, and Central right there on their heels, man. Right down, right in the mix of things.
This is wild. We said it too. It's gonna be a wild Monday. At least we said it in the description of the show. Yeah, and on the show. I do want to put out something. Alabama State, Alabama A&M had a very close game this past weekend. That came down to a controversial. Alabama State made a 3-pointer that looked like it was going to be the go-ahead winning basket, but a flagrant foul was called. They wiped away the 3-pointer and then gave the 2 points, 2 shots in the ball to Alabama A&M. The SWAC came out today, put out a statement. Says the Southwestern Athletic Conference, upon review of the closing seconds of regulation during the Alabama A&M and Alabama State men's basketball game, has announced an incorrect adjudication of the playing rules. Alabama State's Eric Coleman converted a successful 3-point shot attempt with 4.1 seconds on the game clock, subsequently giving Alabama State University a 53-51 lead. Upon officials' review of the play, it was determined that a flagrant 1 foul occurred prior to the shot attempt with 6.9 seconds remaining in regulation. The successful 3-point basket was incorrectly negated. The correct ruling should have awarded Alabama State the successful 3-point field goal and assessed the flagrant 1 against Alabama State, subsequently awarding Alabama A&M 2 free throws and the ensuing possession of the ball. Per section 11-2.1 D3 of the NCAA rule book, when it is determined that a flagrant 1 or 2 personal foul, a flagrant 2 contact technical foul, or a fight did occur within the prescribed time frame, the infraction or infractions should be penalized, and a play shall be resumed by awarding the ball to the offending team where the stoppage of play occurred to review the flagrant act. I would keep on reading, but I don't need to do all that. But
basically, they blew the call.
They blew the call. I do want to say this. I had no problems reading out loud when they was called on in school.
We see.
But nah, man, it was I'm gonna ask this first. I shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Appreciate y'all for being here. Like we always say, could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. Good man Zay say, "What's up, fellas? What's good, Zay?" Chuck checking in from the Monroe, Louisiana, Funroe, and says, "Good evening, guys. What's good, Chuck? Chuck, you should have been there, Alabama State, so you could have gave them the correct ruling." According to the bylaws, we know you knew it, but in times like this, when stuff like this happens, and the conference comes out and says, "Hey, we messed up." What do you think about that? Because me personally, sometimes I feel like should have just kept that quiet because they just made it worse.
No, I don't think it made it worse. I think hiding it would be making it worse.
Yeah.
Because that means you're trying to like cover up the fact that you blew the call. Right. I mean, I appreciate the transparency, and we all know that this is the human element of sports. You know what I mean? It's right. the unperfectness of the referees that and makes or breaks games all the time. Maybe not this blatantly, but you know what I mean? It happens all the time. So I appreciate them announcing the fact that it was, missed call. And I wish they would do this for more calls, not just at the end of games, not just, college basketball, but like the NBA. Instead of giving us the 2-minute report, give us the whole 48-minute report. Show us all the calls they missed. You know what I mean? Be all the way
That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good one. Yeah. So I agree. Because knowing, hey, we messed up here, and here. Yeah. Because I do want to say this. As you stated, referees, umpires, officials, in all sports are human, so they are imperfect. It has been proposed about the robot strike zone with baseball. Don't do that. Don't do that.
You got to keep the human element.
Got to keep the human element, because there are some pitches that are so perfect and they're placed in perfect position where it may be just slightly outside the strike zone.
You got to give it to them.
You got to give it to them sometimes, because it was put there on purpose.
Especially like the art of framing pitches goes away then from the catcher standpoint. If you do that, you mean like so that's part of baseball.
Completely agree, man. You gotta keep some of this stuff there. But I was going to say this. They talked about, saying bringing in robots. If you look at a lot of those replays and stuff, referees get it right a lot of times. A lot more than we think. Yeah. Now, there are some things that they do miss. New Orleans fans, Saints fans, we know. We ain't gonna even bring it up, but we know there are some, some plays that are missed. In football, holding is missed a lot. We get it. But I do want to say, Dave said, I'll get to that in a second. But I do want to say that it is, and when I say, say keep, I'm saying more from a, saying if we lost, and that's kind of, saying part of the reason we lost. I appreciate your, saying my bads, but it's like, it
doesn't help. You know what I mean? It don't help. Like, and I think it's one of those things that, well, if it's your team and you just lost, you ain't trying to hear that right now. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't help the fact we just lost. But once that kind of, you get over that loss a little bit, you kind of appreciate the fact that they honest about it. You know what I mean? Because then you can come back and say, well, at least I know they blew that call. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's one of them. You don't appreciate it at the moment because you still, in the, in your feelings, I guess, about the loss. But once you kind of get over the loss, you appreciate that transparency.
Completely agree. I do want to say that we will be joined by Mr. Gerald Huggins in about, what we at with it, probably about 15 minutes or so. But back to what we were saying, man. It's bad. I ain't gonna say it's bad. It's a good look. I hate that it happens, but you know what I'm saying? It'll get better. It'll get better. It ain't the end of the world. It ain't the end of the world.
I mean, I think this is another thing. This has always been the case. And I just think that we got so many different camera angles and so many slow-mo replays and you know what I mean, and all that. Well, we expect every call to be made correct. You know what I mean? I feel like we don't really take into account that they don't get the benefit of seeing it twice or seeing every angle of it and stuff like that. So I feel like it's kind of like the spoiled fan view. You know what I mean? Well, we expect everything to be perfect and all that instead of taking it for what it is. And it's sport. Everybody out there human. You know what I mean? Everybody out there gonna mess up at some point.
Which I'm glad you said that. That reminds me that's one rule XFL has. They have one challenge. They can challenge anything. I do like that one rule, and because they used it last night, it was a defensive pass interference, and they used that rule. It was corrected, and it saved a touch. Well, it eventually the other team ended up scoring anyway, but it saved them from immediate touchdown. So, but moving on from that, we talked about a little bit or touched on it. Prairie View upset Alcorn and opened the door for Grambling. Listen, I feel betrayed. G, where you at? I was pulling for them big bad Braves. And it's I don't know who to trust.
My reverse psychology worked.
Listen, I don't know who to trust no more. I picked the big bad Braves. I done picked Norfolk State. I don't know who to trust no more. I told
you, man, Grambling. But my reverse psychology worked from last. Remember, was it last week when I said that they schedule so easy? They should be able to make. And then I know they had Jack State level, but reverse psychology worked, man. Now I just need them to slip up one more time.
Yeah.
The one more, because they got the head-to-head over Graham, so I just need them to slip up one more game.
Yeah, but we gonna see, man. It's coming down, man. This last few games is getting wild in the SWAC. It's getting wild in the MEAC.
I love it.
But I tell you what else is wild. 5th seed, Elizabeth City women's basketball team in the 5th seed wins the CIAA title.
The first CIAA tournament title. I think last year or the year before they lost in the final championship game. They actually beat the 6th seed. You know what I mean? That just shows what kind of madness was going on over there in that tournament. Right. But
that title, wasn't it CIAA where people were upset because of the location and stuff? Yeah. So it's a lot.
And then wasn't that also the one where the coach was upset? I think it was the men's side though.
About
the scheduling where they had to play 8 and then turn around and play the next morning. But so it was some madness over there. But congratulations to them young ladies, man, winning their first title for their university.
Right. On the men's side, Winston-Salem wins his 13th CIAA. And it's a third for
when you've heard that one before.
Yeah, third for Cleo Hill Jr., man. So congratulations to them.
It seems like they win it every year, seems like. But yeah, kudos to them, man.
Tougaloo wins the GCAC men's basketball championship.
First year coach, right?
Yeah, somebody was trying to tell us about that. Was it Coach Payne in HBCU Nightly?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. Man, so by the way, if you want to keep up with what's going on HBCU sports, HBCUs period, just want to know what's going on with the coaching, check out HBCU Nightly, man. That's our friendly plug, man. We appreciate them, man. They help get us straight with some stuff, learn a lot. Just come, if you ain't gotta come in and talk, just come into the space and listen. So but I'm gonna tell you, I do want to say this. You ever seen The Wire? You watched The Wire?
Yeah.
You remember when Omar coming? That's what they be saying about Jackson State and Coach Omar. He be coming around with them boys. Omar coming. That boy, Jackson State went to the Andrew Dawson Classic. Swept Andre, my bad. I said, where I get Andrew from? And he
I don't know. That's what. Yeah.
Well, okay, I still read out loud. I don't care. Judge your mama. Anyway,
I don't know if she can read it out loud or not. I ain't never heard her.
Hey, don't do your mama like that, man. I ain't mean you. I was talking about the audience, man. But the Andre Dawson Classic, winning that thing, swept it. I mean, Grambling gave him a close game though. I ain't gonna let you do them like that. They took him to extra innings. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was. Hey, boy, David, stop. Hey, no, we're not gonna do that.
Hey, yeah, chill out, man. Chill out.
You ain't gonna have them folks coming out.
But yeah, they Jackson State beat University of New Orleans 3-0 game 1. They beat Prairie View 5-4. And then Grambling 12-11 in 12 innings. So you know what I mean, we gave them all they wanted and a little bit more.
Yeah, he had Alabama State, Alabama A&M, and FAMU went 2-1, and then Graham and Southern went 1-2.
Yeah,
which is crazy because the weekend before that, Southern dominated in the Cactus Jack. So yeah, it's crazy. I mean, parity. I
mean, if you look at FAMU beat Southern 12-6 in their first game, then they lost to UNO 12-0 in their second. I mean, it's baseball, bro. Yeah, it's baseball.
All right. Well, I lied to y'all. I said I guess to be here, and we were gonna bring them on in about 15 minutes. I lied. We're gonna bring them on now because I don't want to wait back there. We're gonna talk about some football.
Let's do it.
But before we do that, it's the last one, man. The last show before we can
last one.
So happy Black History Month, everybody. Didn't start in 1619, won't end with President Obama. Our figure for today, none other than Miss Allison Felix, the most decorated woman in U.S. track and field history. Started in at age of 18, ended up with 32. Count them, 32 U.S. Olympic, World Indoor Championship, and World Outdoor Championship medals. And that's not one of her greatest feats to me, though.
Yeah, obviously the best one to me is had a child bounce back and came back and won again.
Won again, and not just that. Told Nike when Nike was "Hey, we finna cut that money." You know what I'm saying? We'll cut it.
Chuck the deuces on.
And then went out and made her own and still succeeding. So, what an excellent example of the so I guess you could say the American dream, but I ain't gonna say that. What an excellent example of our ancestors' dreams. We'll put it like that. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, gonna bring to the HBCU hour from Draft HBCU Players. He's a scout. He coached. He tell you what's wrong, what's right with your peoples. Mr. Gerald Huggins Jr., welcome to HBCU Hour, man. Glad to have you on. Appreciate you coming on with us.
Going on, fellas. How y'all doing, man?
Good. All right, okay.
Good,
I see what the Alabama State shirt on.
Yes, I like what Coach Robinson got going on out there. I'm trying to head out there for the spring. I'm planning it, man.
I just want to say for the record, E-Rod was right. But go ahead. Let's go ahead.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
I will say that as many times as I can. E-Rod was right. Oh, man, I do want to say my man Dave in the chat said Pooh Bear still playing on the road. Listen, yeah, I'm be on the road for a minute, man. But yeah. So y'all get used to it. I'm gonna make sure. I told my dad, I said I gotta make sure my bed made up every day now. We do a show. Everybody see y'all can see all my business. I'm gonna have to hide everything back there. But man, what's good, man? Appreciate you for coming in and coming through.
Man, this is the busiest time of the year for me, man. I'm tired. I just can't wait. Listen, and then I got to transfer over to baseball. Cause I love baseball, and I said I'm gonna start covering more HBCU baseball. So that's like I don't really have a break.
Yeah. You went mute on us.
Went mute.
Yeah, I think it sounded like you hit something in it.
It sounded like you unplugged your mic or something.
Can y'all hear me?
Okay, there you go. I hear you now.
I know y'all said bread. I can't do. I hate.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. If it, yeah.
Like my girl bought me this for Christmas and like for the game, but I don't be using it. I'm so bad because I try to use it for her. You know, it's white.
If you want to fake it, you just sit them on your head and act like we were like, yeah, he used them for the interview. It was a great gift.
Hey, you know I'm gonna show the video after we done.
But, speaking of baseball, I know we're gonna talk about football. But speaking of baseball, it was predicted Alabama State, Alabama State and Southern, out of the East and West were predicted to win the SWAC. I'm riding with Alabama State.
Yeah,
I like Jackson State. I like them too. I like Omar. I got. I do. Hey, this Coach Johnson, his recruiting method, the way you talk about that team, you'll be ready to run through a wall.
I feel you.
You'll be ready to run through a wall, but I got to ride with Alabama State, man. I got to ride with the home team. So
Corey King is a dog. Like I do the scouting thing, so like I'm not really big on the teams, but I know the best players, and Corey King there's another kid on the team. Oh my God, what does he play? I think he's like a pitcher and an infielder. McIntosh. Am I saying that right? McIntosh, Kyler McIntosh. He's another. He's another one. Those two are like the best on the team, and they're good. I like their team a lot. I'm rooting for them too. You know, I'm repping the days. You know,
all right. Let's switch to the HBCU Combine Legacy Bowl that was on last week. The Combine, man, Xavier Smith made himself some money. I think it's fair to say he made himself some money. One thing, and I saw you kind of post about it. One thing that kind of stood out, and the Combine maybe not so much. The timing of the whole bowl and everything.
Yeah, I've been very listen, here's my thought pattern.
Mm-hmm.
We had a HBCU legacy game which was supposed to highlight the best draft eligible HBCU players. In the top 6, in my top 6, none of them played. So I mean, you have a game where it's supposed to be the cream of the crop, and we don't have Mark Evans, we don't have Isaiah Land, we don't have Aubrey Miller, we don't have Jadakiss Bonds, we don't have Dallas Daniels. those are top 5. Those most people top 5. Oh, I'm sorry, Shaq Davis. I mean, and those guys played in other bowl games. So working with the Shrine Bowl showed me that these bigger bowl games look at smaller bowl games and bring guys up. So, for me, I'm just like, okay, Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, NFLPA, they may come to the Legacy Bowl in early February or like late January, see a guy they like Xavier Smith, and then now he's in the Senior Bowl. But now, due to the fact that all they're basing it off is film, and from the scouts I talked to, they said the critique of Xavier Smith is like they don't believe for a guy that small, you have to be like pretty much an exceptional special teams guy. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he did it. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I do think they were better at HBCU football at kick returning, personally. But I also don't think that was their focus at FAMU to have him be a primary kick and punt returner. But I think that would have made his stock rise immensely because he's 5'9", 170. So, Brandon Banks and guys like that, they weren't NFL receivers per se, but you kept them on the team because they were really good on special teams. So, yeah, I mean, I would like the game to be earlier. The combine can still be in February.
Right.
The whole Black History Month theme, works. You know what I'm saying? If, that's what they're trying to do. That's the outlook they're trying to give. And the game you played late January. I mean, we get Celebration Bowl end of December, then we get the Legacy Bowl at the end of January. It's perfect. I mean, that's just how I feel like. I just want all the players to play. And we'll get into, certain things, but like just up front. Well, I won't go too far, but I'll let y'all do that. It was hard to watch.
So what you do as far as since scouting and promoting HBCU players and stuff, and what the Legacy Bowl is supposed to do as far as bring highlight. It feels like to me one reason it's so late. And it's not excusable, but one reason I feel like it's so late is because there's not a lot of people who do the scouting, who do the work. As far it's easy to scout PWI schools because they're on TV. It's easy to scout, even FCS like North Dakota State and South Dakota because they're on ESPN3 or ESPN Plus. So it feels to me like one reason why it's so late is because people they aren't necessarily doing the work. If you're not going to a classic, you're not really paying attention for the most part. Mm-hmm. So it just to me that's what, and it's not excusable,
right?
But it feels like that's why, and it's just like you pushing it off, and then say, okay, let me call up this player. Let me grab the best of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean. In a perfect world, yeah, of course you would think, ideally a publication called DraftHBCUPlayers would be a part of certain selection processes. But that's a future goal. I'm very patient. Just got to keep my head down, keep working. We'll see. Maybe they'll hear the show and they'll be like, okay. I mean, like we have a draft guide coming out for HBCU players. No one has ever done that before. Right. I mean, granted, we don't have 100 players in the draft guide. But here's my love for HBCUs and also the reality. There's not 100 draftable HBCU players, but we will have about 45. Right. So that's a lot. And I do feel like some of the selections could have been a little better. But then again, this wasn't in certain areas. This really wasn't a deep class. I think the class next year is going to be incredibly deep, and I think the class. I mean, last year might have been a little deeper than this one when you start to think about it. But I will say this class is good. This class is very top heavy. It's like the top 12 to 15, then it's like, oh. And then you saw that in the game, with all due respect, I love, and I don't want to jump ahead, but I love all the trench guys. That's my thing. I'm a defensive lineman. I watched them all year. They're really good at what they do. But outside of maybe one or two offensive linemen, they made the defensive linemen look. I'm talking first round. It sounds so bad. They made them you would think it's a first round grade on these guys, the way they were packed. I mean, it got to a point where I'm like, they're not even touching them off the line. Like they by the time they got their hands on the defensive lineman, they already turned their shoulder and cleared them. They're grabbing the back of their jersey. And I'm just like, it's not fair to the D lineman because you know, I will say just how I was thinking and how y'all might have been thinking it. The scouts are thinking it too. Like, golly, these offensive linemen they're not giving much of a look. So how good are they? That's why I don't put too much stock in the All-Star games. The practices, yes. The games, not so much, because all my work is pretty much done before the All-Star games. Now it's just like, okay, maybe I missed somebody. Like I will say I missed on Dre Terry because I think he's like in that tweener between, is he going to be a linebacker next level? He's going to be just had to put on a couple pounds to be a defensive lineman kind of thing. I actually got his notes right here. I'm finishing up his scout report. Like there's guys I might have, missed on, like the kid from Clark, Atlanta, the tight end. He was killing them all week in practice. Everybody. And the kid Jaden from Benedict. Now I knew about him, but I didn't see this. What he was doing during the practices and during the game, I didn't see that. Yeah. Like not to that extent. He was always a very, very, very solid player. But all in all, the game is very important. At the end of the day, we're talking about it. We weren't doing we weren't doing this 3 years ago. You know what I mean? So I'm happy. And end of the day, from what I've been hearing, our guys interview well, and for the most part, our top guys are putting themselves in position to become successful. We already got guys drafted. So now we got HBCU kids with options. That's fire. Yeah. Imagine that. Be like, I don't want to go to USFL. I want to go to NFL. Like, that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? We didn't have that. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about the Legacy Bowl. It's supposed to happen. There are logistical things that we could fix, but this
right.
You know what I mean?
So you mentioned some of the defensive linemen who looked great. Obviously, Dumas was winning the MVP. So who else stood out to you in the game besides the defensive line?
Besides the defensive line, well, Zay Smith. I mean, I knew that was coming though, because he's a gamer. He cuts the film on. That's what he does. He produces. Robert Mitchell, offensive lineman, the best offensive lineman not named Mark Evans in HBCU football, hands down. Watch the Celebration Bowl again. He mauled Jackson State's interior. Mauled him. I mean, he's just a violent, angry dude when he plays football. Now off the field, he's real cool. You chat to him, really respectful brother, cool. On the field, he's nasty. Tape his wrist up, tape his hand. I like to see offensive linemen like old linemen. You know what I mean? A lot of old linemen got sleeves and he looking cute. He wraps his hands. You know what I mean? He do his ankles. Get his knuckles. He got offensive line gloves, no visor. Just, you know what I mean? I love it. You know what I mean? He's my second best offensive lineman in HBCU football, and you can argue he's a top interior guy. I mean, he's proven he's a Lackawanna kid. For people that don't know, Lackawanna College produces the best HBCU athletes from JUCO. They got Nugget, Savion Williams from FAMU last year. I believe Tyler Long from Norfolk State that just transferred out. He's from there as well. They have an influx of guys coming from JUCO. So, Keyshawn Moore, the big D tackle, who I didn't know was 280 pounds, by the way. Kid is huge. I didn't know that. He looked 250. But he looks 250. He's crazy. But outside of D lineman, Jaden Thomas from Benedict, I thought, because I wasn't there, but I'm looking at the film, I saw 31. I'm like, oh, wow, they moved Maurice Washington to receiver full time. This dude looks great at receiver. I'm like, and then Emory Hunt, he hit me. He was like, nah, that's not Maurice. That's Jaden Thomas from Benedict. I said, no way that's Jaden. Yo, he looked fluid. He went against Nugget, performed very well. I mean, I think that might have been Nugget's kryptonite during the week. Everybody else, Nugget was knocking down for the most part, but that was his kryptonite for me. I mean, the kid is big. He's shifty. He got a nice little twitch to him. He has really good deceleration on his when he stems on his routes. I like him. He can stack very well. He has like this little burst that he gives, and he gives a little shoulder to clear space. He doesn't really use his hands as much when it comes to beating the press, but he does have a pretty nice sized body that he uses to control himself, and he has really good body control and throw the ball in the air. So I like him too. Outside of that, I mean, honestly, it's so hard with these games because the defensive lineman really controlled the whole game.
You're not the only person to say that. Like up and down Twitter, it was like, hey, this offensive line needs to step it up. Hey, the defensive line looks magnificent. Hey, that's like literally all down my Twitter. As far as legacy ball, I didn't hear much about skill players. All I heard defensive line.
For majority of the game, I thought we was gonna get a kicker be the MVP.
I will say Romo is an NFL kicker. Just put that out there for people that may not think he's an NFL. I know he missed one, but I mean, name me an NFL kicker that I don't miss. So he's definitely an NFL kicker. I hope he gets a look. I'm pretty sure he will. He's been an All-American quite a few times. I think he's gonna get a shot. Like, I mean, so yeah, it's All-Star games are hard. Even this fellow, the Shrine Bowl that I was working with, it wasn't like an offensive, show. The defensive linemen really are just teeing off on these offensive linemen. I mean, I personally think offensive linemen are just physically outmatched by defensive linemen now. It's kind of like how wide receivers are against corners. I just feel like they're just outmatched physically. I mean, athletically, I just think these guys are damn near the same size, but they're just more athletic, and then they just will run full speed into you. And I just don't think the offensive line. Well, you have the Trent Williamses of the world that have the
unicorns.
Yeah, you know what I mean. They could do that. I mean, Myles Garrett is 6'4", 260 pounds, man.
It's almost where they're in that in between range of, do you want to be big, bruiser type to where you can kind of control the run game, or do you want those slimmer, agile offensive tackles, you know what I mean, that can kind of move, those dancing bear types that you can't really find, but you can't have an offensive line of both. You know what I mean? You kind of have to choose your offensive line. Are you going to be physical, Marler style, or are you going to try to be nimble and, athletic, pulling guard, that kind of offensive line? But it's so hard to find a full unit of of the type that you're looking for.
Correct. And then to do it in an all-star game.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. And then you got a week of practice to try to mesh as a unit and and get that chemistry. That ain't happening.
It's not. Combination blocking takes a while to get down. Like, pass protection takes, some people would take half the season to get it perfected. So, I mean, you asking these guys in 2 padded practices.
Yeah. And
then you got to go against Dumas. You got to go against McDaniel, Ronnie Thomas, who's like, I know you said don't mention the D lineman, but I'm rooting for him because who can block that at 6'6"? I mean, even if he's not doing it every play, you can bring him in on one play. Just say, listen, just dip under the punch and bend. I mean, I'm not saying he has a James Houston type bend, but he's not that far off. Like his bend is ridiculous, and he has a nice high rip. His arms aren't very long. They say he has like a 72-inch, 72 arms, which is not that long. But man, you just root for a guy like that, 5'10 and a half, 250. He's built like he's a tank, And then at the end of the day, like someone that's 6'6", 290 pounds off the tackle, you're not gonna be able to consistently block him on the edge. So you look at guys like that, and then it's the kid, the running back from Edward Waters. I think he's a transfer from where did he transfer from? I think he's an FBS transfer. So he's Tyler King, the running back, number 28. Yeah. I like him. Shifty dude. Like he got the twitch. I know people like to call it, twitchy. They like that word in the scout. When I became a scout, I was like, people read this word twitchy a lot. I'm like, what the heck? Oh, twitchy. Okay, I see it. Yeah, he's that guy. Like he has like a really nice burst. He's more of a lateral runner. He could be a one-cut guy. He's not like a Darius Higgins or a Wilson from Fort Valley.
Marshall is where he came from.
Right, there we go.
Okay, yeah.
He's not a one-cut guy. He's very shifty. He likes to go lateral, but he's patient. So I like it during practice, and he has really nice hands. I think he's gonna get a look, because at the end of the day, when it comes to
all-purpose bet.
Yeah, I can't not say Alfonso Graham. He was probably the best back throughout the week. He plays receiver as well. He could play receiver, but Morgan State they didn't need him to. Well, they couldn't because they didn't really have a quarterback play, and then the offensive line play wasn't good enough to really have a consistent pass game. So they ran him, and then he was the guy. And everybody knew he was getting the ball, and he still found a way to be productive, except for one game. Then the Central game Central brought their big game with that one. But outside of that, Graham is a guy I like to see sneak up into a camp or end up in the XFL, USFL, play that slot back, kind of running back, kind of. I mean, we have a lot. I mean, we have guys, like I said, it's top heavy, but then once you fall off from that top 15 to 20, it's just like, but that guy like him, you can bring him into camp because he's fast and he can catch and he can play multiple positions and he'll play special teams. And that's what you really like to see.
Let's talk about that top a little bit that you keep mentioning. So obviously, you got the Isaiah Lands, you got the Mark Evans, you got those guys at the top. Where do you see those guys going? What round, around what range you see him going?
Based on what I'm hearing and who I've been talking to, they got Mark Evans as the top 100. So, yeah, I've talked to a couple people. They're like top 100. People like him because the practices were a little rough for him, with that transition to guard. Because honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know he was 6'2". Never saw him in person. I stood next to him. I'm like, I don't think he's 6'2", because I'm 6'2" and change. And he's taller than me. So I don't know. Maybe because of the slides he had on, whatever. He's 6'4" with cleats on. So that's really all that matters to me. So I mean, for him, I say he's got to be a day 2 or 3 guy. Day 3 at the latest. He's not gonna go undrafted. People like Mark. He has big old hands. He's a strong punch. He's aggressive, and he has some finesse to him too on the outside. So when you bring that left tackle pass blocking ability and athleticism on the inside, when you have all these defensive linemen from the interior that are really, they're quick, they're nimble, they're nice. I mean, the new age. I mean, you got a bunch. I mean, it used to be like one Warren Sapp or maybe a John Randall every now and again. Now you got these defensive linemen could play edge rusher. They just 290 pounds. So now you got a Mark Evans who's just as athletic on the interior, so you can't get a quick move on him. And once he gets his base, learns how to, and gets his hands reset more consistently, they're not gonna be able to get off on him. Watch the you got to get a chance to watch the Shrine Bowl again if it comes on a replay or something. Watch him. He had a phenomenal game. I didn't even think Pro Football Focus ranked him pretty high with his pass blocking grade. And the run blocking, like I said, all-star games, combo blocks are gonna look horrible. It's a cohesion you have to have that they just don't have. So it may look bad on the offensive lineman a couple plays. It may look like Mark wasn't doing his job, but that's just from not knowing one another. He stepped down for the combo for the bump block, but he left too early. He left a little early to go to the linebacker, and the guy didn't get over. He flipped this up around to create that seam. So stuff like that, I know he'll be fine during the NFL camp. So I'm not worried. I'm appreciative that the USFL drafted him, but he's not. I don't see him being that guy. So he's a day two guy because he's the top 100, day 2, day 3. We'll see how the combine goes. Isaiah Land, people have him a little higher than me. I have him 3rd. I think Aubrey is a better prospect to me because of the special teams acumen, the special teams. I mean, he loves special teams. You could tell when he posts highlights of him playing special teams all the time on his IG. So he enjoys playing special teams. He graded pretty well on special teams. He has the leader qualities. He's a thumper linebacker that likes to run, and he has a really good motor. I know the Central game might have been his worst game in his Jackson State career. That's an outlier. That doesn't happen very often. He's a very solid tackler. He's smart. He's instinctual. His instincts make up for what he may lack in speed because he gets there because he knows where the ball's going. Because he studies. You could tell that by how he plays. Very physical. I watched the Campbell game. I'm watching him blitz running right into those big offensive linemen from Campbell, and he was very disruptive. They couldn't move him. I mean, he was coming full speed ahead, and you saw the Senior Bowl clips when he's running the run. You don't block him. You can't. He's coming from 7-10 yards away, and you're just gonna stand stagnant and think you're just gonna just pop him. And you're gonna no, it's not. So he's me and Malik from DraftHBCU. He's the founder. We were sitting there talking about his comp we talk about comps for hours. That's the hardest part about writing a profile.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, we was like, I think he's an old school Pittsburgh kind of linebacker. Malik was like, yeah, Lawrence Timmons. I was like, yeah, perfect. He's like a little small to be a Patriots linebacker. They're like their linebacker 260 pounds, but he plays exactly like them. But I like the Lawrence Timmons Ted position. He's the guy that's gonna knock the pulling guard off, off his feet and let the other guy make the tackle. But he could also make that play as well. So, and he's not bad in pass coverage. I know that's been like the marker on him, but when you watch it and you look at the grades, I mean, he did pretty well in a scheme that runs a lot of man. I like it. I like him more than Land. I got him number 2 over Land. And then who did I have number 4? I've been moving it around because of the combines coming up, but I think it's going to pretty much be this list. And Jadakiss Bonds from Hampton, he's number 4. I think people love Shaq and Dallas Daniels, but I think the thing about Jadakiss is like he's kind of both of them in one to an extent, and that's where you really like. He's 6'2". He looks all 6'2", 200+ pounds of receiver. He looks like a receiver, big hands, long arms. He walks like a receiver. He just has that swagger. He doesn't really talk a lot. He plays football. He's very solid in his intermediate route and his deep routes. He has enough twitch and ability to have pretty solid run after yards at the catch as well. He's not like Shaq Davis after the catch, but he, for sure, if you don't tackle him, he's just gone. I don't know what kind of speed he's gonna run here. I say he runs low 4.4, maybe low 4.5. I could see it low 4.4, but at the worst 4.5, and that's not a big deal because he knows how to get open. He uses his body well to create separation. So I'm not really worried about that. Red zone, best red zone threat in HBCU football. That's hands down. I would say he's him, Kamari Everett, and I'll throw Shaq Davis up there, but he's number 1. So behind him, I like Dallas Daniels. Dallas Daniels a lot. If you just need a guy to catch the rock, tough little guy, he's gonna block the linebacker, might block the safety. May not look the prettiest, but he's gonna try. Yeah. You know what I mean? Who doesn't want that from a slot receiver? I like him a lot. And you talk to him, you can tell he's gonna interview. He interviews well. I was just talking to him at the Shrine Bowl. Like he's a guy. Don't have to worry about interviews. Him, Dallas, all those guys in the top 10 for the most part, their interview sound. Not worried about them at all. Kamari Everett, he had his issues coming from Louisville, but from what I've heard, he interviewed very well at the NFLPA Bowl, and people say he was the best player there. So I can see that because he's 6'6", 250 pounds, and he finds ways to open. I didn't know he was that big.
Yeah, well, we saw him at SWAC Media Day, and when he walked by the first time, I looked at Poopa. He's supposed to be on the basketball court somewhere, bro. Like
I don't think he's 6'6". I think he a Durant 6'6". So Kevin, you know how everybody used to say Kevin Durant 6'7", and that man a legit 7 foot. I really think he like 6'8".
For real,
that dude is huge.
That dude is huge, bro.
He stood next to Jay Walker from that does the commentary. He stood next to him. Jay Walker 6'4".
Yeah, he is. He's legit 6'4" too.
He stood next to him and was like,
he was significantly tall.
Thank you for asking me questions, sir. He looking down on him like, and I literally was saying every week, I think this is gonna be the week he gonna have that game. This is gonna be the week he had that game, and he didn't. This year he just didn't have it, and it kind of. I understand there was a lot more behind, a lot more stuff going on. So but I'm looking forward to seeing this dude.
You talk about red zone, man. You gotta.
Yeah, you have to. It's hard.
Just throw it up to him and let him block out a DB, man. It's
That's it. I mean, it's not rocket science. I think some team is gonna. I think he'll at worst be a preferred free agent.
Yeah, UDFA. Yeah.
But I mean, the tight end class is. They say it's deep. I think it's just.
I don't think it is though.
Me either. I think it's the top 3.
It's top heavy. Yeah, top heavy. You got the boy from Notre Dame, the boy from Utah, and the boy from Oregon State or whatever it is, something like that.
Big kid from Georgia, but I think he's raw. He's just
but he just a left tackle that can catch. That's all he is.
Oh, you talking about Darnell?
Yeah, kid from Georgia. He's huge.
Yeah. Other than that, I feel like you can toss them out in the head and pick one out, and they all the same.
Yeah, I think Everett. I mean, you can't say Everett's not a top 10 tight end coming out. I mean, you can't really say he's not.
Can't name 5.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to think of 9 tight ends better than him in the country. I can't. And even with the receivers that we got, between Shaq, Dallas, and Jada, and now people want to throw Xavier Smith in there, but I told you what the scouts are saying about specialty acumen. But even those top 4, you can't say out of those top 4, not one of them a top 25 receiver coming out. I mean,
it's not a deep receiver class neither.
I mean,
you get second round.
Listen, this is the class to get a lot of HBCU guys drafted because I'm not a big believer. The class is just not that strong to me. It's just not. It's just it's really. God, I mean, it's really, like we said, everything seems to be very top heavy. And like a lot of drafts are like that to an extent, but this one just seems like people are all talking about the same 22, 23 guys, and everybody's just like, well, toss up for everybody else. Well, let those toss ups be guys that's been producing since they got into college, like a Jadakiss Bonds. He could have went anywhere he wanted to. You know what I mean? He could have transferred. He didn't. You know,
the hottest name in the transfer portal, one of the hottest names was Isaiah Lane. He just so happened to decide, hey, I'm gonna stay at FAMU.
Listen. I mean, everybody wanted him. He's another one. I thought he was taller than that. He plays so much taller than 6'3". He plays like 6'5". I thought
he didn't look as big as I expected him to be whenever we saw him in SWAC midday. You know what I mean? He plays bigger than he really is.
Yeah, that's why I'm indifferent on, because I'm like, I had to change his comp up. His original comp was Leonard Floyd, and then I'm realizing people want to move him to 4-3 Will, Sam, or Mike, and I'm like, okay, who's a guy that came into as a pass rusher, but they try to convert him into an off-ball linebacker. I was like, oh, okay, it's Bruce Irvin. It's easy, and I think he's gonna run. Maybe not Bruce Irvin. I think Bruce Irvin ran like a low 4.4. Can Lamb make that? He's a freak athlete, man. It wouldn't shock me if he runs a 4.4. It really wouldn't. I mean, I think him running a 4.4 would put him ahead of Aubrey Miller significantly, because now we have an off-ball linebacker that can rush the passer on the third down, and he runs a 4.4. Now, special teams wise, I haven't really seen much of that from him, so that usually helps your stock when you're a small school guy. But I mean,
if you can get at a passer like him, though, it kind of don't matter sometimes.
You can't pass up on a guy like that. I mean, I know, like I was telling. What I told, I forgot who I told. I said James Houston kind of made it rough on Isaiah Land to an extent, because everybody's expecting that to just happen for him. And I just really believe they're two totally different players. Because,
that's a good point.
Because James Houston was an off-ball linebacker first, then he transitioned to edge rusher. So now he came into it like established off-ball guy who showed very good, ability to cover, and at least in the shower zones and stuff like that. And now he's like, okay, I want you to rush the passer for a year, see what happens. Dude gets 17.5 sacks, I believe. So that's a little different dynamic than a guy who's been primarily an edge rusher. Then I'll say postseason, people are like, okay, you need to transition to off-ball backer and try and do it that way. So I just want people to temper their expectations. James Houston, what he did, there's only 3 people did it. It's not that don't happen. You don't just come in and just get a sack per game as a rookie in your 8 week. What was that? What week?
Yeah, Thanksgiving. I remember that he literally came in and started dominating from Thanksgiving, and the sentiment that we've all kind of shared on our show was, imagine if they had him game 1, day 1, the records he may have broken.
You know what the coach said? He said people were healthy. So,
I mean, who healthy was better than that though?
Hey,
you tell me Romeo or Koru or whatever is better than. I mean, no disrespect, but I mean, the production for itself.
I was just as befuddled as y'all were, and I was like, "That's he said that out loud." The D-line coach said that out loud. He said it. He said people were healthy. I said, "Man, ain't no way he wasn't doing this in practice." So what were we seeing? Because he had to do this in practice. There's no way. There's no way he was just. I mean, he was beating really good offensive tackles. He weren't just the bottom shelf offensive tackles for most. He was pretty solid offensive tackles. So he's just. I mean, he's just. Like I said, his bend is probably the best. I didn't know his bend was like that. I knew he had bend, but I'm talking. This guy is literally almost parallel to the ground, making sacks. I mean, that's Von Miller-esque. Not, I ain't gonna. Yeah. But even Von Miller didn't do what James Houston did. So I'm just saying, if that's gonna be his role, and if he just, because he's a 6'1" guy, 6 foot, but his arms are like, you got like 81-inch reach. That's like my mom used to say, you scratch your knees standing up. That bodes well for someone that's shorter, because now, I mean, he could lock out on you. You can't touch him, and he's 6 inches shorter than you. So what are you gonna do with James Houston once he figures out the whole defense he's out there full time? I wanted him to be in the 3-4 system and be an outside back.
Ooh, that would be nasty.
That's what I wanted. Pittsburgh, he's another Pittsburgh. I want people to go to Pittsburgh. I don't know why.
Pittsburgh or Baltimore, like that old smash mouth style defense.
That's it. That's our thing. I mean, I just a lot of our D linemen and linebackers, that's what we do. They'll be the guys out the MEAC. They just hit. They nasty. They just violent. So I'm sorry, I got a little off, but Isaiah.
It's all good, bro.
I got you. I know I'll be who I have number 6 is Emmanuel. 7 Emmanuel Wilson out of Fort Valley. He's big guy, 5'11", 230. Catch out the backfield, solid in pass protection. One cut guy. Not a lot of. I mean, he has to still learn how to be a pro back. That's what I heard. One scouting report, a guy from the NFLPA Bowl. I was like, okay. I mean, he still has some maturity to pro back, which I understand. There's certain things about just being a little more patient and not just trying to run over everything. You got to really find certain creases to get more yardage. But when you 5'11", 230 and playing in the CIAA, I was saying, well, he did play in the CIAA, playing the CIAA and the SEAC. I mean, you probably feel like you could run most people over. So, he gonna get to a point where you're not gonna be able to. But I feel like that transition will be fine for him. And then Isaiah Bolden, he ain't gonna be in the USFL for long. So I just, he will probably be, and that's fine. I don't want him to look at that as a slight. I hope none of these kids look at that as a slight.
I hope not either, because I think those are your new NFL Europe type plays.
You know what I mean? G League, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I mean, a lot of our guys do need a developmental year. I mean, like I said, don't like the Josh Williams and Jacoby Durant and James Houston, like that. What they did and how productive they were, that it just doesn't happen from rookies, let alone guys from our schools. So, I mean, I just need people to understand there's nothing wrong with getting a nice little developmental spring season. The team just calls you in, because that's probably what's going to happen. Like, people know Mark Evans is going to probably get drafted. People know Isaiah Land's probably going to get drafted. You know what I mean? They like Darius Higgins. He's a guy. He's number 14 on my list, but he's rising. Deshaun Warren, Nugget. Like, he's a guy. Like, yeah, he's a freak athlete. He's going to run a 4.3 again at his pro day. He might put up. I don't know how much he's going to put up on the bench, but he doesn't. I've heard he's pretty strong. So, I mean, he's going to look very well. So, I mean, he's another guy. He ain't going to be in the USFL for long. But if he is, well, what? Getting paid, play football. That's what you want to do. And, he's going to develop. And I don't know. Maybe for me, we're draft HBCU players. We don't really care where you go. Like, we got kids in the state of Mexico right now living their best life. We highlight them, too. We got kids going to Canadian League. We just had another kid, Keyshawn James from Fayetteville. He just got signed to the Red Blacks. Very weird name, but the Red Blacks, Ottawa Red Blacks, something like that. And then we have about Kai Gray, who's another one going to Canadian League. We had like 4 kids go to Canadian League this year from the CIAA. So we're good. And XFL got about 19 guys. Listen, we're okay. We're doing just fine.
Speaking of that, that, German football league. It's a lot of guys from HBCU starting to sign. I kid you not, because we saw this. We were like, I didn't even know Tennessee State had a former quarterback signed over there, and then Bluefield State had I think it was a cornerback that signed to the German football league. I didn't even know they was even starting the league again or anything like that. So
you're a bet.
Yeah, I mean, I like it though. I mean, I'm listen. Any opportunity. Listen, these kids want to play professional ball. That's what we're gonna help them do it. We're just gonna put, we're gonna be honest with them. We're gonna I talk to the guys all the time. Like, this is what you need to work on. Just being honest with you. That's out of love. I don't know I don't know if scouts do that or not. But that's just I'm for the guys first. Maybe you can be working out. If you don't want to do it, that's on you. I'm just telling you what they're saying about you. So, for the most part, the list is solid though, man. I think Alfonso Graham will get a shot. Jordan Lewis is a tweener for me. He's kind of slowly falling because I thought he was gonna put on some more weight. He's 212 pounds.
Yeah,
trying to figure out who. Like, no one's going to draft a rover, but that's pretty much what he is. People don't really draft rovers like that. You could say he's a positionless player. He's a guy that maybe bring him in on third down just to get a set. But I don't know how much money you're going to pay for a guy that doesn't really play more than 25% of the snaps. So, I mean, how long will his career be? Now, USFL be a nice spot for him to develop. And if he wants to be a will linebacker, put on 10 pounds, be 225, 220. And then we'll see how that goes. But a consistent edge rusher, yeah. I mean,
I can see it.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, at least Ronnie Thomas is 250.
Yeah.
212 that's light coming off the edge every play. I can't do that. And Mo Washington, I wish he would have went back another year. I got him on my list because
we said that too.
I don't get someone told him something that we don't know, because that's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense. He must know he's getting picked up by somebody, because he's not doing that. The running back class next year was going to be really good with the two top guys, Alcorn and Grambling, and Jada Byers from Virginia Union. Those are going to be the top three. It was a nice looking class for running backs again, and then he just dipped off. I'm just like, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I mean, I asked around and everybody gave a very political answer. People make their choices. That's it all.
That's kind of because I'm right up the road from Grambling, and that's still kind of word on the street is that he just decided that's what he did. He did what he thought was best for him. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of just what everybody's saying.
You can't knock him. It's just, damn.
Part of me feel injuries kind of was, you know what I mean? But just,
I mean, his body was pretty much fresh. I mean, he didn't get the ball a lot, and it's like, okay, this is a nice guy you want to pick up, bring to camp, because at the end of the day, he's really fast and he's explosive, and
good size too.
Yo, I mean, I don't know. I wish him the best. I feel like he could slide in somewhere. I mean, and if he has to go XFL or USFL or go to Canada, so be it. I mean, that's fine. He has some questions he has to answer too. He has to interview very well as well. So, I mean, a lot of hurdles for him, but all in all, I wish him the best. I just wish if he would have came back next year, he's probably the top HBCU prospect next year, hands down. Outside of the kid from Howard, the left tackle. Love him, by the way. Putting that out there now. If y'all, Aneem Dankwa, that's all. But that's watch. Just watch the tape. Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy. He's 6'8", all of 6'8", 330 plus pounds. Yeah, he's nimble. He can move. He could move. I mean, I've seen him. He did. Listen, Brandon Gaddy, Nelson Jordan, all those guys.
Yeah.
They got
lost. They got swallowed up.
It's different, man. It's just he's just a different guy. I mean, tell you that.
Wall.
Yeah, he's legit 6'8", 300. They said 360. He might be 360, but he's definitely 6'8", 300. I'll give him about 330, 340. But he can move, and he's my guy for next year. He's my top guy for next year. So I throw that out there now. He's my top guy.
We got it from the chat for you. I got MEAC Mike says, what was Shaq Davis 40 time in the combine?
He didn't go to HBCU combine, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he didn't go.
Right.
Yeah.
You got a range for him though?
Oh yeah. 4.4, 4.5. No less than that. He's gonna stride that thing out. I mean, you're next to him and all of a sudden you're not, because he just strides it out.
Usain Bolt.
So that's why his comp for me was Martavis Bryant. You're gonna get a deep threat that's gonna drop the ball every now and again. But do you live with him getting that 90-yard touchdown? I mean, most teams gonna live with a guy. Now, me personally, it scared me because I am kind of a Carolina Panthers fan still, and y'all know what Ted Ginn did to me, and then when he left and went to the Saints, he caught everything. He caught everything. So for me, that's what you get with Shaq Davis, though. And end of the day, people love him. I mean, I think Reed from ESPN put him as like number 4 top HBCU recruit prospect. I'm a little different because the drops are a little concerning to me to an extent, but I'm like, okay, am I going to live with a guy that's going to drop the easy slant, but then maybe a few drives later, he's going down the field for 80? I don't know. It depends what your style is like. I more or less like the guy who could do both. So that's why Jada Kiss is like my top rated receiver, but that's just me. Yeah. But Shaq is going to be a guy that people are going to take a shot on because bigger than I thought. He's 200. He's almost 225 pounds. He's big. He's a big kid. Big, 6'4", 6'5", 220 pounds. Big. It's a big receiver to run that fast. So, Martavis Bryant. Just before people select him, just know that's what you're gonna get. You may get a whole lot of production from him, but he's gonna get you. He's gonna that 3rd and 5, you know. But you're gonna get that long touchdown per game. So he's gonna be fast.
As long as he ain't Martavis Bryant off the field, he'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be. Yeah, Shaq will be fine. Shaq will be fine. Him, I think that's funny. But I think, I'm working on Grambling. Oh, I'm actually working on I can't pronounce it. Is Ray Estes?
Yeah, Ray Estes. Yeah,
I can't
call him. Mama
know.
named Ray. I'm gonna call him Ray.
All right, we're going with Ray. All right, so yeah, Ray. I'm working on his profile. He's another guy. I like him. I kind of like. I watched him throughout the season, but now I'm actually breaking down the tape. He's another guy. I know you say you up the road. I like him. I think he got a nice size. I think he's about 5'11". He's a little light.
Yeah, understand a little bit.
Yeah, he's a little light, but I think I like him. I think he's one guy that I think, the USFL saw something. But I will say, I just want to put this out here, that there's a trend of I'll start by saying this. I am happy for Mark and Land because they're like, I don't want this to come off wrong, but like they went to HBCU for 4 years plus and made it. You know what I'm saying? I know we get a lot of guys like, call a spade a spade. A lot of guys that we, are promoting in the HBCU space were not, they came in about a year, after their junior year, they transferred in for their grad year, but you got a guy like Deshaun Dixon, 4 years in Norfolk, Joshua Williams, I think he came in, I think he was like 2-3 year guy. Marquise Bell, he came in, the Kobe Durant, his story. I mean, he was a walk-on, and Xavier Smith, another walk-on that turned into. So, I just want to just point out here, there's a trend when you look at the guys drafted, look at where they went to school first. It's a trend. Like a lot of guys are getting opportunities due to their FBS prior. Which, I mean, not a huge deal to me. That's also something I think we should look into for the Legacy Bowl. Like, so we let guys that transferred in can play in the game, but guys that transferred out can't. So like you got like a guy like Justin Redd, who would have been the best offensive lineman in the game, and a lot of those sacks, he transferred to Eastern Carolina. A lot of those sacks were not happening on Justin Redd. A lot of those.
So is it? Yeah. It doesn't seem like, my bad for interrupting, but does it seem like it ain't where you start, is where you finish type deal for the Legacy Bowl?
It might be, but they let Shawan in last year, and they're not even a black college. So I mean, I'm glad they corrected that this year because people were not feeling that, except for like a couple of publications. But it was, for me, it's just like, okay, you literally say it's HBC Legacy Bowl, so let's just keep it. Let's just keep it what it is. So, but I do think because look, we had all these guys transfer out. Like we had the guy that do it, Tootin. From A&T, he left, and Tyler King left from A&T. Then we lost Tyler Long. We lost a lot of guys. I mean, I'm not even gonna bring their names up. I know if Shiloh got the opportunity, he probably would happily come play in the Legacy Bowl. I don't know about his brother, but I know Shiloh definitely would. So I mean, I don't want to bring the family up because I swore off the family name for a good.
Well, don't swear him off yet. I'm glad you said that. Good segue.
There you go.
Nah, but see, so we saw this week that Shador won the Black College Football Player of the Year. That ensued a debate. And I'm not even gonna listen. I'm gonna say this. Don't be laughing, Renaud. He that laughing. But seriously. That ensued. I'm not even finna get into. I don't want to get into the debate of which one. You know what I'm saying? Because it brought up the debate of Davius Richard and Shador Sanders. And as he said, a strong debate because it's still ongoing. This ain't been going on all week. Every time Every time I turn around, somebody else new in the argument. But people are making this debate that, because it was brought up by a good friend, Josh Sims of HBCU Nightly.
Okay.
That, what I'm saying, or actually, it wasn't even him who started.
Yeah, it was
Yard talk. Where you at, Miss Love?
Yeah,
being messy. But she said no Davis Richards. She brought him up, and I think that's a fair argument.
It's very fair.
It's a very fair argument, but it seems everybody's saying no. Saying it's not. They're not comparable. He's got 1,000 more passing yards. He's not. He's a dual threat, but he's not really a dual threat. So I guess my question is, why is there such a, this ain't even like a LeBron Jordan debate. This is more like, this is like strong. I have not seen this kind of, but I didn't say why. Why is this?
Hey man, listen. Okay, so at Draft HBCU, we had like a good 2-week long debate on who was gonna win first team all a Draft HBCU for quarterback. I thought because I'm like, yo, Richard is the guy. I've been saying that, and I've been very questionable with Shedeur Sanders since last year because I just don't like how he deals with pressure. It's very concerning to me. To me, I mean, he just gets happy feet when he gets pressured, and then he starts ad-libbing, and he thinks he's Kyler Murray, and it bothers me. And then, end of the day, it's funny that Tom Brady trains him because you look at the offense, it's very similar to what everybody's wide open. I mean, everybody was open. I mean, there were times that he threw people open, so I'm not going to take that from him. He has a beautiful deep ball, but to call spade a spade, a lot of quarterbacks could throw the ball very far. And they have really fast receivers to get there. He has very nice touch on his intermediate throws and a very nice zip on his short throw. I'm not taking that from him. His windup is a little long, so that's why I'm surprised he didn't get more strip sacks, but they throw the ball very quick. So, I mean, it protected that offensive line that had their issues. I was very vocal about how they were never going to beat a MEAC school with that offensive line. Not happening. So it depends on what you like, because before the Celebration Bowl, for the most part, their numbers are identical. Same number of touchdowns. The yards was probably like 100 or 200 yards in between. But one guy has 2,500 here and then 1,000 here, and the other guy just has 3,500 here and 200, 300 here. So, I mean, it depends on what you like. You want your pocket guy that has some ability to run, or you want a guy that you can literally run a rushing offense through, and then he could throw the ball with nice touch and and hit all his play action throws, hit his RPOs. I mean, I just personally think Davis Richards, he's bigger. I think he has a stronger arm. I think his decision making is better, regardless of the interceptions, because sometimes when it wasn't a lot of dog fights that Sanders had to fight his way through until towards the end. I think Richard had to literally carry his team. He didn't have the benefit of having a defense full of Aubrey Millers and Justin Reagans and Devontae Davises. It's just, and Gaddy's. Like, I mean, am I knocking Central's defense? But everybody knew Central's defense wasn't a good defense coming into the Celebration Bowl. We knew Shedeur was gonna put up points versus them. Everybody knew that. But I think that makes Davis Richards' case even better, because what he did to Jackson State's defense just demoralized them. Like, there were plays where he shouldn't have gotten a yard. He's busting off for 10. He's running over their linebackers. I'm talking Cam. I never seen Cam from Jackson State tackle that bad. I've never seen him tackle that bad. It was really hard to watch him tackle that bad. The defensive lineman could barely tackle Richard. Richard might be stronger than everybody on that defensive front seven. I don't know. He looked like it. I mean, but they said he's putting up 225. What they say, 25 plus?
Yeah, they say work out with the offensive lineman.
I mean, come on, man. I mean, it just depends on what you like, though. So, I mean, I'm going to say Richard is better because I feel like I could do more with him. If everything's not perfect for Shedeur, you're not going to get much production. and I'm sorry to break it to him, but for the most part, people were open a lot, and he just had to get it there. He didn't really have to throw people open too much. He didn't really have to throw in too many tight windows. I mean, Dallas Daniels is open on majority of his routes. Malachi, not Malachi. What's it? Not Malachi. What's his name? Number 5. I forgot that boy's name. Man, I forgot his name. The tall receiver, number 5. But anywho, he had receivers that were flying wide.
So Keon Coleman?
Nah, no. God. I'm bugging out right now. His name, not Malachi White. That's a different kid. They all starting to come together. But anywho, I'm gonna figure the name out. But yes, they I think people want to just use stats, and that's fine. Shane Hooks, Jesus Christ, and we picked him on for Player of the Week. Dang, that's so bad. I had too many names in my head, man. I'm scrambled. But yeah, I mean, I can see why people want to say Shador. They love stats. It looks good, And then it's cool.
Because I was thinking about this on the ride back, from work. And I was like, is it a preference of pocket passer versus dual threat? That's at first I was thinking that. I was like, because is it people want more? Is it that people want more? And I was trying to think of a pocket pass in the NFL, and I was like, can't say Josh Allen, can't say I don't want to say Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Yeah, people want more Tom Brady and not Jalen Hurts. And then I thought about it, but a lot of people aren't really arguing pocket passer versus dual threat. They're more arguing Jackson State versus everybody else, and that's what it kind of, and that's what it kind of started seem like. And then because it stopped really being about stats and more about saying Shador. But
I'm not.
I'll say this: if you swap quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Jackson State would be just as good or better. And I don't know if I can say the same for Central. And whenever you're taking into account who's the better player, I think you have to look at that situation and say, change what's around them and how good are they still. And the one that's still pretty good, no matter what situation he's in, he's probably the better player.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but that's usually the situation.
I agree. Yeah, he played tougher schedule for the most part. So, that helps too. There's so many factors I could use for Davis Richard. End of the day, when you watch both of them play, like the game, honestly, there was a point where he had to drive the ball down the field. He had to get the ball down the field. They were down at a point. It was getting rough at Central. And he just like, okay. He just looked so calm. It was like he wasn't even flustered. He was like, all right, run the ball down the field on him. Maybe he just ran the ball down their throat. Then he's throwing dots to get him open too. So
I was very impressed with this celebration, but I'm not gonna lie, he was the player on the field.
I was impressed against Morgan State, and that was I was just like, okay, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Hang it up. I'm good. So
that was definitely video game. I didn't expect that game because Morgan has a really good defense. Like their defense is damn. Let me watch my words. I'm not gonna say they're close to the best in HBCU football last year, but they damn sure was not top 5.
That was great.
Yeah, they damn sure top 5. So they had guys. Their DBs are very good. I'm talking these guys are graded out very high. If you care about PFF, it's kind of confusing sometimes, but if you like PFF, they have a very highly graded defensive backfield, and their defensive line is really good. Elijah Williams, he's the defensive lineman from there. He's probably coming back as the best defensive lineman in HBCU football next year. Definitely. Number 0 for Morgan. Yeah, he's the guy. He's that guy. And they have 2 linebackers that are really good. Hunter and Lawrence, like they're really good. Like they built for it. Like this. So I like Morgan. Of course, Morgan's biggest thing, their offense was just so yeah, they did, brother. They did. my dad, he's a Morgan Hall of Famer. So he was just we always talk about Morgan. So he was not very happy during that game. And not say nobody was. I was happy from a scouting aspect. Like, oh yes, like Davis Richards making me look amazing right now. Like he is cooking them. So I mean, I was very happy. But you know, Morgan's gonna be fine once they get their offensive line straight and get a quarterback. They'll be fine. I have no worry about Morgan. And actually, Central's reloading on defense. That's the scary part. Because when their defense is like makes it work, when they come together, that's gonna be even better for Davis Richard.
I gotta apologize real quick. I mentioned Morgan State in that game, and I forgot about my man me at Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. I won't bring that up no more. That game, yeah.
Hey, listen, it's okay.
Yeah.
You gotta. Sometimes you gotta live with it, man. It just happens. I mean, I root for Morgan, Grambling, and Union and Clark Atlanta. So I mean, there's a lot of stress there. Whole lot of stress there. Grambling,
definitely. Hey.
Grambling's they're gonna make me proud this year, though.
That's right.
Grambling's gonna make me proud this year. They got no choice. Cause I'm gonna get tight. I need them to. Cause I'm like, yo, like, okay, come on. This is like,
you gotta get that quarterback situation figured out, man.
I know, man. Like, your best quarterback y'all had is at Southern now.
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling people think the best quarterback in the SWAC is FAMU. I'm telling people right now, that boy, and he's from New York, so I'm always gonna show up.
No Bolden.
Noah is that guy. He was really trained by the second best quarterback to ever play for Grambling. He was trained by him. Bruce Eugene was his coach in high school. I mean, the kid is, all right. I'm telling people now. People don't know about him. I know BJ Jones, he was on my side with an HBC United because they're like, how you going to Musa? I'm like, okay. It's going to be Davius Richard, Noah Bowden, Musa, and Q Will from Howard are tied for me. Those two are tied for number 3 for me. And I think Q Will's going to have a really good year this year because he has no choice. It's like your 5th year. It's just here. Come on.
My question would be, so we've heard about some of these recent additions like Alcorn, Tyler Macon. I forgot the young man's name who Texas Southern got, but they also got body, but then they got the transfer as well from was it Furman or not Furman? It was Furman.
I think it is Furman.
Yeah, I think it's either Furman or Wright.
Yeah, one of the but I mean I don't know what they're gonna look like, but I'm hearing lofty things about both of them young men.
I love body, but I just can't be a fan. I can't only be a fan when it comes to like how I talk about him. At the end of the day, like body, you have the most intangibles out of anybody. I mean, you should be better than Sanders, Richard, Musa, Bowden. Like you should be better than all of them. But we're waiting, man. And I know you haven't had the best situation ever. I get it, but I mean, you're gonna have to make it work. Either that, or you're gonna have to. Well, I don't want him to leave.
He comes to the G.
No, I was just going to say. I'm gonna say. I want to throw this out there because I've been thinking about it. I didn't want to say this because I don't necessarily want to talk him. Say, oh, you got to leave Texas Southern. Because I'm not saying that. But if he just so happened to ever leave, I think if he paired up with Coach Maynard at Alabama A&M,
exit 81, baby.
Oh no!
Come here, exit 81.
Main like A&M is like their receiver. They're like the receiver but they never seem to finish there, and it's very concerning.
Yeah,
like they get the best receivers that you can get on the FCS level, and none of them finish there. This dude Dell is literally about to. He made him some money. Dell was killing the SWAC. Yeah. Then it was freshman year. Then he left out his freshman year. He killed the SWAC his freshman year. Then he was MVP.
I think it's because of, when Glass left, that was it. I mean, granted, because if you look at like last year, it was a
lot going on.
They end up switching the whole style of offense because they didn't have a QB for it. So
they lost Quarles too. He was one of my favorite.
Yeah, I was too. If you ever see him start talking to you about some chicken wings, that man will talk to you for hours about some chicken wings.
That's fine. Listen, make him run fast. I like him, man. Where's he going to school now?
I want to say UNLV if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
Jeez, well, he'll be in the NFL because he had NFL talent. He just you know they got to air the ball out. You got to know who you're playing with. I mean, I guess he. Oh man, go ahead, UNLV.
I want to say I'm trying to look it up now.
That would be good. He's a FBS back, and I don't think he's not. He's a good 3-down back. I like him. I thought I'm waiting for him to come back, man. But then I was like, wait, is he playing? Then I was like, okay, he's not playing. And then he ended up transferring. So, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's something you want to keep guys like that, but
if he
can't have them all.
If he did go to UNLV, that offensive coordinator they just got, Brennan Marion.
Oh, he gonna eat. Playing, he gonna eat. So I think.
Oh man, that's gonna be deadly.
I like it. I like it a lot. For next year, I mean, it's next year has a lot of good prospects. So.
That little go-go offense or whatever it's called that Brennan Marion run with that running back system, man. Hey,
go. I feel you, man. Oh man, I'm trying to think of anything else on my.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's UNLV.
It's UNLV. Oh, that's good.
Gonna be nasty.
Oh, that's good for him. Yeah, he's gonna be. We'll still cover him. We do our best to cover the guys that left still. We cover like I know. I'm with Q. I call him Q Cole. Q Cole from Alcorn. Him. We covered him still. Red. We still cover him. The kid from Union that plays at Arizona State. Charles Hall, he's another one we still cover. So I mean, our guys are going to other places and playing. I mean, it ain't like they can't. It's just like, dang, I wish you could. But there are some good. I mean, there's a lot of like overall. This is a nice, solid class of prospects. I hope teams will overthink this with a lot of these guys. Like these guys are great. I mean, we have legit 10 guys that are could easily go into the NFL. We have 10. I believe can play on the NFL roster. I mean,
all right. So what's the number? How many get drafted?
Well, that's what my heart is saying. My gut and my head. Oh yeah, we getting about 4 or 5. No more than 6. Because I don't think people love the HBCU movement, but I don't think they're ready to make that 1970s kind of.
They like it, but they're not investing into it.
Nah, they're not ready.
No, everybody.
So you think
everybody buying Kente cloth and rocking.
Too bad the draft ain't in February, huh? But
with that help.
But so you think like maybe 4 or 5 and then maybe another 4 or 5 is UDFAs?
Yeah, that's saying like Andrew Farmar, he might get UDFA, but he may want to just. Believe it or not, he went against Mark Evans twice the past 2 years. And if y'all get a chance to watch that on YouTube or something, please watch that. That was actually very enjoyable. I mean, Mark was a handful for a lot of guys, but Farmar has held his own. Like people like him a lot. Like they talk about he had a 40 vert. They said 4.7, 4.69, whatever. 4.6, 40.
40 vert?
Yeah, 40 vert. Yeah. Yeah, that kid from Lane, he's a little. He has to work on his pass rushing, but when it comes to run stopping, he's one of the best. He averaged
40 vert.
Yeah, he averaged 3 tackles for loss a game.
40 vert with a 4.69 at that size, that RS score gonna be pretty high. You got to be like a 6.7 on the RS just off that alone.
They're telling me he's gonna be. They said he might get picked late. I mean, he's another guy. You just gotta okay, why not? So I'm
take
thinking
that flyer and hope you can develop him a little bit.
That's all. Like just develop them. Like learn how to pass rush. Just it comes with time, but I think it's something that you can get if you just want to. So I mean, like the guys we have, we get. So I'll say from right here on my list, Evans, Land, Miller, Bonds are my definite ones to get drafted. Those are my definite. Then I'll say Dallas, Everett, Shaq. And then Farmar will be like my next 4. That's like day 3 UDFA. So that makes it about 8.
Gotcha.
Wilson, Bolden, Keyshawn Moore, Keenan Isaac, guys like that. They might bring him to camp. Now, do I think Keyshawn Moore is going to kill when he gets to camp? For sure. He's 6'2", 280, ran a 4.7, 35 times on the bench, 10 hands. Like, he's a freak. He played everything. Like I said, he played linebacker. No one knew he was this big. No one knew he was that big. Everybody put 245 on their charts. Then he came to the freaking combine. He put 280 pounds, man. 280 pounds. So he's the guy. They talk. The Ravens were talking to him, I believe, and some other teams. Maybe I think some CFL teams talking to him. I think people mentioned something about him playing a little fullback too, just like Dumas. So I mean, I don't know. I think he's a guy I said will sneak into NFL camp. Keyshawn Moore out of anybody. He's the guy that's gonna sneak into it. Yeah. But yeah, overall that's. I mean, Zay Smith. I think someone's gonna give him a shot just because of the hype around it right now, and that's fine because it happens to everybody else. So why can't it happen to others?
That's a good point.
So why not? And then round it off for like Alfonso Graham and Robert Mitchell, Ronnie Thomas. They deserve to be in the spring league. If worst case, they deserve it. They deserve it. If they can't get them in the camp, give them a spring league. They deserve to be playing some football within the next year. So I hope they just keep their heads high and keep their heads high and just work. I'm proud of these guys, man. Off the scouting tip, I'm just proud of our guys because they're just showing up so well in this postseason, man. They're doing their thing. It's an honor to scout them, man. It's hard work, but I'll do it. I'll do anything. It's hard, but they deserve it, man.
All right. I do want to give an update. We talked about this. Norfolk State made it again.
Came back.
They came back.
They didn't win.
It went to overtime.
And they lost by 2, 76-74.
But Joe Bryant wasn't playing, right? Yeah, I don't think he was playing. I saw a tweet. They said Joe Bryant wasn't playing. I said, this don't count then. They don't count. Healthy Norfolk is not well.
Yeah, but they came back and took it overtime and they ended up losing by 2. So
they did it without Joe Bryant. Yeah. Norfolk is probably going to. I say one HBCU team is going to make it to the Sweet 16. I'm just not sure which one.
One. Yeah, you right. He didn't play tonight, but Bankston went for 29 tonight. 29-12 for Norfolk.
Sheesh. Well, that bodes well because if he could do that every night with Joe Bryant, then they're looking good. That's about 50 points right there. You only need about 60 to win in the MEAC. 60, 65.
So we talked about and jokingly when I say about the Kente clause and stuff and how people,
I wasn't joking about the draft not being able to. I was serious.
No. I'm just saying. Carolina Hurricanes. They wore decals for 8 different HBCUs when they played against the Ottawa Senators. So, kudos, for showing that what I'm saying. And I'll just leave it at that for showing that.
I think they might have a little budding relationship a little bit with Central. Because Trey Oliver had went to a game not too long ago, and they gave him a shout out on their social media, and all that kind of stuff. So it could be the start of a budding relationship that we'll keep an eye on.
And before we get ready to close out, I do want to say this. Shout out to Howard swim team dominating in the NEC swimming championships, proving black folks can swim.
It's not in the ocean for me. I
don't mess with me. I ain't messing with them. If it's wildlife out there, I ain't swimming with them. I'm cool.
No, sir.
Somewhere.
Gerald, man, tell the folks where they can find you. Tell them where they can find you. Here we go. It's your spotlight. Let them know.
I appreciate it. All right. So we just got a website up and running, DraftHBCUPlayers.com. Also, you can hit me on Twitter at Coach_Huggins Jr. Same thing on Instagram. You can follow us on DraftHBCUPlayers on Facebook. Follow us at DraftHBCU on Twitter. We have our DraftHBCU recruits page for kids that are looking to play at HBCUs or have committed. And we also have the same thing for our Instagram page as well. So don't hesitate. Reach out. We got our draft guide dropping on March 6th. We're not doing pre-orders, but the link will be available on March 6th, probably around 12 p.m. So look forward to see some of your favorite HBCU players in the draft guide. Much love.
Good stuff, man. Appreciate you coming through. hey, very informative.
Very informative.
Very informative.
Appreciate all the
shout
hard
out
work
to
you do putting it together.
Yes.
No, it ain't easy.
You mentioned Emory Hunt. Emory Hunt he's one of my, especially when it comes to like HBCU, FCS, he's one of my favorites because he does the work. You know what I'm saying? Reach out, we're trying to get him on as well. When I sports betting, he is like the only capper that will talk about HBCUs. He'll break down CFL, HBCUs, FCS. So man, but yeah, shout out to y'all, to, you know what I'm saying, guys like y'all who do the work that others don't, you know. So, and it's very needed.
It's needed, and we appreciate every little step. So if any HBCU coaches listen, when we reach out to you for film, we're not trying to give it to anybody else. It's because we're trying to give your players the correct spotlight. So shout out to Coach Robinson from Alabama State, because he reached out to me and made sure that we got what we needed to make sure that we highlighted his players.
So that's why you that shirt. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I gotta show love to the guys that's doing things right, and I'm gonna root for Eddie Robb. I'm gonna root for Eddie George. I'm gonna root for Eddie George. I'm gonna root for Hugh, because I feel like they're doing it right there. They're new to this coach and head coaching thing at HBCU level, but I'm rooting for them. I appreciate them, man, and I just want us to thrive, man. I don't want to take up too much time. I just want us to thrive. Like, I'm literally, when we get off, I'm about to put these Dre Terry notes in, finish up his guide, and then I'm gonna go to bed and then wake up and do the same thing when I wake up from work. So this is what we do. So I mean, I appreciate you, man. That means a lot, man.
No problem, man. Our guys at Down South Football talked about, you know, say Gerald's been a real one for a long time, does great work. So you know what I'm saying? I just want you to know, man, it don't go unnoticed, man. It don't go unnoticed. I know, trust me.
It's hard, bro. I know y'all doing y'all thing. It's hard, man.
It's hard sometimes. I look at sometimes, and then somebody else say something, you know what I'm saying? Like when, you know what I'm saying, when we talk and stuff, man, because it's funny, and we can talk about NFL. We can talk about NFL.
Yeah,
but
it is. I'm a big mock draft simulator guy, and you know, I'm always clicking on and reading the draft profile. So I can imagine, you know, being the one to actually watch all the hours of film and, you know, come up with the weaknesses, you know, strengths and comps, and, you know, what system they fit best in, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff that entails the draft, what a draft profile entails. I couldn't imagine having to sit there and watch all that film and come up with that. So I don't envy you at all, my brother, but I do appreciate what you do, man.
Respect. Most love, man. It's love, dog. Respect.
All right, man. It's Monday. It don't feel like Monday, but we'll be back on Thursday with another episode of HBCU Hour, and let's see what we're gonna go out on. All right, like that, we out.